Hello, today we're going to do lesson 7, percent and equations from geometry. So the first thing that you have to remember is that you can always translate this information that they give you in words. You can pass them to math, to symbols. So 18 means equals 20% of means multiplication. What number? That is my variable. That's what I need to find, the unknown. Now we need to leave the n by itself. So we're going to pass the 20% to divide. Because it's multiplying here, we need to pass it to divide. Now remember, 20% is the same as 20 over 100. So I'll write it like that. You can also work with decimals. When we divide by a fraction, we have to multiply by the reciprocal. So that's what I'll do to find n. And then I'll cancel some of these numbers. And I'm going to cancel the 18 divided by 2 is 9. And the 2 divided by 2 is 1. So my answer is 90. In example 7.2, it says 1500. So I write 1500 is equals what percent? So my unknown is the percent of 250. Remember, of means multiplication. So in this case, I need to leave the p by itself. So I'll pass the 250 to divide. And then we have to multiply times 100 to find what is the percent. I can cancel here and here the tens by dividing by 10. And then I'm going to divide by 25 here and by 25 here, which is 4. And 150 times 4 is 600%. The next section is equations from geometry. And what we want to do here is use the knowledge we have from geometry and create the equations that use that knowledge. So let's look at an example. 7.3. It says find x. And it gives us the 3 angles in a triangle in terms of x. Now, what do we know about the angles in a triangle? Well, we know that the sum of all 3 of them is 180. So the equation that I can do is say that if I add angle A, B, and C, they are going to be 180. So we wrote each one of the angles in terms of x, and we put that the sum of them is 180, which is something that we know from geometry. Now remember that these parentheses are just there to say that each one of those is a different angle, but they're not really doing anything. There's no multiplication, there's no negatives in front, so I can just ignore them in a way. We don't need them, and we just add like terms. So I add the 2x plus the 7x, 9x, plus 6x is 15x. And then I add the numbers, 2 plus 18 is 20, plus 10 is 30. And now we solve that equation as usual by passing the 30 to subtract and the 15 to divide. And so the answer will be 10. So that's the value of x. Now if we want to know what is, for example, angle A, then we would have to multiply 2 times x, which is 10, plus 2. And A would be 22 degrees. The same for B, we would have to multiply 7 times 10 plus 18, and for C the same, 6 times 10 plus 10. In example 7.4 is the same. We have to use what we know from geometry to create an equation. And so what do we know from transversals that cut parallel lines? Because these are all parallel lines. So what do we know? Well, we know that the 2 angles formed here are supplementary, they equals 180, and that all of these angles here are the same. So I can say that this is 3x, because these 2 angles are in the same direction and they are both acute. So what do I know? Well, I know that both of them together, 4x plus 33 and 3x, if I add them, the answer is 180 because they're supplementary angles. And so now we solve these as usual. We do like terms and then we pass the 33 to subtract. Then I pass the 7 to divide and the answer would be 21. Now notice that in this case, the question says find x and then find the measure of each angle. So we have to find x, but then we also have to find what is the measure of 4x plus 33 and what is the measure of 3x. We do this by evaluating or substituting the value of x that we just found in the expression. So this is going to be 84 plus 33, which is 117. And then on this case, we have to multiply 3 times 21, which is 63. And now notice that if I add 63 plus 117, I get 180. In this exercise 7.5, they tell us that the ratio of the angles A to B to C to D is 1 to 2 to 4 to 3. Now what we have to know is that it goes in the order. So this is A, B, C, and D. So what we need to do in this case is something very simple, and it's just put an X with each of the ratios or the numbers here. And those are going to represent what are the parts that each one of these angles represent from the total. So notice that all of them together equal 180 because that's a straight angle. So again, what I have to do is say that 1x plus 2x plus 4x plus 3x equals 180 because all of them together form the straight angle. If we add in here the x's, that's going to be 7 plus 3 is 10x. So if I pass the 10 to divide, the value for x is 18. And again, this is the value of x, but the question is find angle A, B, C, and D. So A is going to be 18 because A is just 1x. B is going to be 36 because it's 2 times 18, 36. C is going to be 4x, so 4 times 18, which is 72. And D is 3x, which is 3 times 18, which is 54. And again, if we add 54 plus 72 plus 36 plus 18, we should get 180, which is what we were saying that was true in this figure. And that's it. I hope this was very clear. If you have any questions, please write them in the comments so I can help you.